Hello and welcome back to Let's Play Rogue Trader with me, Eklendyl. Let's reap our rewards and then we'll free this Farseer.
Your seneschal is always there for you.
I'll take it from here.
This wound will make a fine scar.
Took you long enough.
This could be an opportunity.
The set of symbols looks unfinished, as if you only have half of the mysterious message in front of you.
Rise to the top, or get left in the dust.
The laboratory is crammed with mechanisms and devices unknown to you, the sight of which makes you sick. Webway Resonance Device, a mysterious tool required to open a webway gate. Wraithbone Woven Battlesuit. This armor restores 3 wounds each round when the wearer has any number of the following damage over time effects: burning, toxin, bleeding. Base armor property plus 10% armor against non-Drukhari enemies. Assault Cloak. After the wearer performs a melee area attack, they gain plus 5% dodge reduction and parry reduction for each target affected by that attack for the next melee attack. I don't think that's better than what he has. Yeah, I prefer the debuff to everybody. Plus, I think this armor looks a little cooler. Now, he can't raise his arms above his head because he will impale his skull.
Is there money to be made?
But the armor he has on does look a lot more Drukhari-esque. The strange capsule emits a barely perceptible buzz. Its thick walls barely contain the sounds coming from within, the sounds of a living and tormented creature. Journal of Observations. The journal entries are written in an angular but surprisingly tidy hand, as if the writer deliberated meticulously over every word. The notes are supplemented by diagrams and formulae. The Farseer's mind is aggressively resisting external interference. The mind maggot perished instantly upon being introduced into the system, which has never been observed before. Interesting. As punishment, the subject was placed in vibra shackles that chip away at limb bones. Unreadable diagrams. Mind maggot enhanced with a power implant. Subject placed in a red-hot metal capsule during the introduction of the parasite. Despite the pain in the parasite and its system, the subject succeeded in addressing the veil. Parasite destruction detected 2 minutes into its presence in the subject's body. Unreadable diagrams. Mind maggot enhanced with poison that suppresses the host's psychic functions, and placed successfully inside its victim. The parasite's vital functions persist, yet with no sign of compliance on the part of the host. Unacceptable. Subject punished by partial skin removal and suspension by the detached areas of skin. Unreadable diagrams. Experiment finished. Result negative. For as long as the subject remains capable of combating the mind maggot's presence, pain is the only available method of suppression. Subject to be placed in a capsule with slowly rotating blades until further instructions.
Always keep your eye on the price.
Let's go grab this loot real quick and then we'll come back and free that guy. I find it a little interesting that Heinrich knows more about Xenos than the 2 Xenos in my party. Especially since the 2 Xenos in my party are tied to the Xenos area that we find ourselves in. The set of symbols looks unfinished, so we only have half of the mysterious message in front of you. Hi Morag. But what a strange feeling. Merlette clutches her head, and her eyes dart around the torture chamber. Kayla and Chicane take my heart. Placed on a grimstone pedestal in front of you, is an intricate game board, broadly similar to the one Regicide players use. Miniature figurines of Drukhari and Esserani, skillfully fashioned out of onyx and wraithbone, are frozen in elegant poses opposite each other. Several of them are toppled, and for a moment you think you see fresh blood running from under the game pieces down the small grooves carved into the board. Iliad, are you alright? Iliad stares at the game board, stunned. It seems she never heard your question. Quiet. Please stop. Stop torturing my mind. I'll not let you become another spirit in the wind. Not for the light of a million stars. Just let me explain myself. Iliad, what is going on? I left Kurdarak because that was my path. Is that not what you have been teaching us from birth until the final moments of our lives? I can hear it very well. The mournful lament of our brothers and sisters tortured to death in this room. I prefer not to hear it, but I cannot. As clearly as I hear the melody of your soul's torment. But don't you dare. There's no need to blame me for what happened to you. Iliad clenches her jaw and seems to stop breathing entirely. Slap Iliad. Enough. Of course it was Marizai that succeeded that. Morag. Iliad holds her bruised lip and stares at you angry and offended, until bladed awareness dawns in her eyes. You tore me free from the thorny vines of sorrow and guilt. Oh, Elentalk. If only you could hear her pleas and her curses. My heart shatters into 1,000 pieces at the mere sight of this tormented soul. But her words lash my mind more painfully and more ruthlessly than the three-tailed whip torments its victim's flesh. The Dark Ones possess the cursed gift of inventiveness and torture, and subject their victims to the worst horrors a mortal mind can conceive of. In their torture, they go far beyond the limits of the possible, and the permissible. Look closer. These pieces in this board designed for games that intrigue the mind were fashioned from the flesh and blood of one of our Farseers. Her immortal soul remains forever connected to them. Why would the Drukhari imprison a Farseer's soul in a board game? Why does the wind blow and the rain fall? Why does starlight illuminate our path and darkness dismay us? It is their nature, but that is the way of the world. The Dark Ones feed on despair and suffering, while the Farseers are powerful beings of unbending will, whose souls, however, are brittle. Every move on this game board causes the Farseer nothing but pain. She feels everything, sees everything, and is aware of everything. She dies with each taken piece, and is resurrected at the end of a game. Iliad twists her mouth and averts her guilt-ridden gaze. But I fear there is more to it than a desire to inflict suffering. The homunculus experimented on the Kurdarak Farseers in an attempt to subjugate their powers. Normally, the Dark Ones shun all and any manifestations of such abilities, lest they attract the attention of she who thirsts. This is worrying news to me. So it's actually pretty interesting, the dynamic between the Drukhari and Eldari. So the Eldari purposely limit their psychic powers. They're extremely powerful psychers, but they suppress it and use like runes and stuff to protect themselves when they do use their psychic powers. Prevent drawing the attention of demons and She Who Thirsts, Slaanesh. Drukhari have basically shunned psychic powers altogether, but they still retain most of the technology from the height of the Eldari Empire. But most of that technology requires psychic powers to use, at least to its full effect, if at all. So while the Drukhari have the technology that the Eldari could make more use of, they can't use it. Looks like the Farseer put you through mental torment. What did she say? That I am a traitor and my path is paved with the bodies of my kin. That I am an outcast who carries the blame for the destruction of my home. Since I heard the call of our dying ancestors, but did not return in time. That it should have been me in her place. Do not let the words of a doomed soul lead you astray from your chosen path. I could have protected my home, met my end alongside the others. Iliad's own words make her shudder as she stares at the flayed bodies of her brothers and sisters. Still, for as long as at least one child of Kurdarak is alive, its memory will not vanish. And I am yet to reach the end of my path. The seed planted long ago is yet to grow and bring forth the flower of truth. You should end her suffering, Iliad. No, I cannot. If you destroy an Asuranti's soul without applying a spirit stone, Silent Thresh's claws will reach out and tear that soul apart. We can take the Farseer to the ship, and save at least what is left of her. It's hard to say how much more suffering her soul is yet to endure before we leave this city. She may even be devoured by Silent Thresh on the way, as forms like these make our souls very brittle and defenseless. But if you think there's a chance she can be saved, I will not stand in the way. We got, Prison Farseer's Soul. The Farseer's soul trapped inside this intricate game board protects the artifact's owner from the deleterious influence of the Imperium's forces.
Keep your wits about you.
The Inquisition taught me many things.
Special privilege. After leaving a combat tactics area, which we don't utilize, though it is pretty good. Shame I don't have one in the party. The wielder retains its effects until they move into another combat tactics area. That's pretty good. Recoil War Boots. Whenever the wearer's attacks an enemy behind cover with a ranged attack, their cover efficiency is decreased by 40% for that attack, and minus 15 recoil. Gloves of Rapid Desolation. Increases the rate of fire of the wearer's weapon by +1. Each time an enemy is killed, Perplex is inflicted on all other enemies in a 2-cell radius. Help if I actually eluded that. There we go. The shield is useless to us because we don't have a Master Tactician. Activate the mechanism. Somewhere an unseen mechanism whirs to life. Oh wait, there's a thingy over here.
That was a problem for you.
Hey, hey. It's a coin toss, but we got it. Despite his many bleeding wounds, the stately Aeldari calmly straightens his shoulders and raises his narrow chin as he scrutinizes you with his keen gaze. Mysterious blue light glimmer in his emerald green eyes. A Monkai and an outcast have found their way to the heart of the Dark City, save what little remains. The universe is full of cruel surprises, but this is an outcome I managed to foresee. You have foreseen our meeting, but cannot avoid being captured. What is the point of your prophecies, then? Elliot glares daggers at her fellow Aeldari, but he does not look away. The Farseer frowns. His face reflects guilt and grief, yet he says gently, I'm glad our paths have crossed again, my child. It is a great relief for me to know you are alive, and a great joy to see how much firmer of spirit and mind you have grown over your years of exile. I think we have a lot to talk about. Make an Aeldari greeting gesture with your hands. You've got yourself a most amusing Monkai to keep you company, Elliot. He understands our language, and even knows a thing or two about customary greetings. Not that any of it makes him a worthy companion for you to have on your path. It is the Elentok who keeps me at his side. Were it not for him, my soul would have long left this body. Or else, I would have been devoured by a minion of She Who Thirsts. I would never have learned the truth of what happened to Krudarok. Perhaps we ought to start by introducing ourselves. Of course, Elentok. One forgets one's good manners all too easily in the Dark City. Elliot can barely contain her fury as she gestures toward her fellow Aeldari. Standing before you is Eklendyl Mairesh, or Marsh, who walks the path of the Farseer. He is the all-seeing eye and timeless sentinel of Krudarok. He was, that is. Either way, Amakai's name is not the kind of thing he would be particularly interested in case you're expecting me to introduce you in turn. You will forget your name as serenely as one forgets a troubled dream in the morning. Elentok. Now that is a word I have not heard in years. The Farseer does not even look in your direction. There were other Farseers besides you in the spire, Between the homunculus' tortures, I was able to glance inside my kin's desperate minds. I saw every soul that was extinguished in this spire. I sang a lament for every brother and sister sacrificed by the Dark Ones. I carry their memory in my heart. If I get out of here alive, their names will not be forgotten. Your senses fail you, Eklendyl. Many died, but not all. Owlcat turns around sharply, points to the game board containing the Farseer's soul. I was unable to save her, but you could have tried. The Eldari recoils as he looks at the bloodied game board. What is this? Explain yourself, Mon-Kai. What in all the gods' names made you decide to torture one of my sisters? Are you aware that a Farseer's soul is imprisoned in this object, and that your every touch causes unspeakable pain to her immortal soul? Can you really help her? I will release her soul from its suffering, but alas, giving her back her body is beyond my ability. I did what I could to save the Farseer's soul, but I could only do so much. The Eldari's expression is inscrutable, but he struggles to speak. You have set me free, and I'm grateful for the rescue. But what you're doing is wrong. I can free my sister's tortured soul if you let me, Mon-Kai. I'm asking you for one more favor. Then do it. Let to rest the wretched soul imprisoned in this object. Owlcat blinks in surprise. In her eyes, there's a faint fleeting trace of softness and gratitude. Really, I must confess, I've set little store by your species in the past. Perhaps in some regards, I was wrong to do so. The Xenos nods in gratitude, finds a spirit stone on one of the homunculus' desks, and chants a few unfamiliar words which your elucidator does not catch. Dark blood pours out of the game board in the Eldari's hands, but as soon as he finishes his chant, a warm glow suffuses the stone he is holding. It is done. You said you would help us find our way home. What did you mean? The countless hours I spent in the homunculus' cage were not all spent in the throes of agony. I listened, I observed, I absorbed, and I soon learned that an age-old gate built by our ancestors is hidden in the heart of the spire. A webway gate connected to the world outside. I can unseal it and forge our path to salvation. I can help you make your way out of the Dark City and leave this place behind. But you must take me to the gate. My mind is still firm, and my spirit is unbreakable. My body, on the other hand, will not soon forget pain's embrace. What is the point of your questions, Owlcat? I can guide you to the gate myself, but not before Eklendyl Myrish, who walks the path of the Farseer, the all-seeing eye and timeless sentinel of Crudarach, pours the light of truth into the bottomless well of my fear and doubt. The Farseer is at your disposal, Owlcat. I feared this moment would never come. Owlcat takes a deep breath and looks into the Farseer's eyes. Look at me, Eklendyl, and tell me what adversity befell our home. As a council member, you cannot possibly be unaware of the truth. And Eklendyl, do not even consider hiding anything from me. Sometimes ignorance truly is bliss, my child. I cannot deny you your right to know the truth. The Farseer tosses back his head, and his voice sounds like rolling thunder. When we found ourselves amid the stars of this stellar fabric, we encountered a Mon-Kai ship. A ship much too puny to take on an Asuryani world, or so we thought. Until the council was struck with a vision of the horror to come, the ship would be our doom. Not only for us on Crudarach, but for all Eldaria kind among the nearby stars. And even for those whose paths stretched far beyond the stars. We could not allow such a thing to happen. When the ship approached, we pierced it with 100 salvos, and then rejoiced. For among the wreckage, the Rangers found no trace of the foreseen curse. Assyrian, how wrong we were. The ships that returned from their reconnaissance to our starports were already carrying it on their wings. Whether it was a scratch from a passing wreck, or the infected ashes of the Mon-Kai ship that the cosmic winds had not had time to disperse, the plague crept into our home, and immediately began to eat away at the craft world's very flesh. In the Infinity Circuit, the souls of the ancestors battled the spreading pestilence ferociously, but the world is falling apart, and there was no stopping it. Spires collapsed, rivers dried up, and the ground itself sank, and all living things turned into a strange blend of organic matter and metal. We fought for our home until the very end, but when it became clear that Crudarach was beyond saving, the council decided to gather all who remained, board them on the surviving shuttles, and scatter across the galaxy to look for salvation. And that was what we did. But who steered the infected vessel toward Kruderok?
I am afraid you already know the answer, Elentok. You just cannot accept it. Your predecessor, she who previously owned this vessel and your entire protectorate, the monkey who kept a piece of my homeworld in her study, like a trifle or trophy of no great significance.
Elliot looks at you with a mixture of sorrow and sympathy. So it was your accursed kind. Eklendyl's eyes light with golden radiance. Wait, Eklendyl. Shedding innocent blood will not bring our home back. Elentok is guilty only of helping me to reach this place and free you. The blood of the executioner of our people flows through the veins of the one you long to save. What has the Monkai done to deserve your mercy? The golden sparks slowly die away, and the Farseer warily closes his eyes. You said a disease broke out aboard the ship. You want to know how your kinspeople destroyed my world, so you can follow their example. Answer the question, Eklendyl. Not for the Monkai's amusement, for the sake of those whose souls dissolved in infinity. At first we thought the Monkai were in the service of the greatest enemy of our kind, the one who lurks beyond the edge of reality. But the world's affliction manifested itself differently. It distorted Kruderok while avoiding encounters with the souls of our ancestors. We're waiting for Silent Thresh, the destroyer of worlds, to burst her way in through the gaping wounds of the world. Yet her gaze was directed away from our suffering. No one ever managed to identify the nature of the curse, even as we watched it destroy our home. And so, having lost all hope of saving it, we fled. Your kin fled Kruderok. How did you end up here? Our twisted cousins found our arcs in the Void's cold embrace. At first it seemed they were going to save us, to extend a helping hand, as we told them what had happened to Kruderok and where to look for it. But our cousins' souls are dark and thirst for blood. My arc was one of the first they seized. The Drukhari massacred hundreds of thousands of their own kind for fleeting pleasure's sake, and enslaved the Farseers for their accursed experiments. And that, Monkai, was how I ended up hanging in this cage. Is Kruderok completely destroyed? That is hard to believe. The Arbenian took care of what remained, but that is none of your concern, Monkai. Elliot is silent for a while, and then says coldly, But Eklendyl, how did Kruderok end up in the Expanse? This close to Monkai's ships and the Dark One's hunting grounds. That was the path chosen by the Council, my child. We had charted Kruderok's course among the stars for years, and no one had an inkling of the terrible fate that would await us in the place that promised us salvation. No one knew. Farseer looks away for a mere second, but an itching sensation immediately burrows its way into the base of your skull. Something is wrong here. The paths I have walked have taught me a great deal. To see the truth where it is concealed, and not to hesitate to cut off the head of a lying snake that tries to coil around my heart. Elliot stares unblinkingly at her fellow Eldari, fury gleaming in her eyes. If the entire Farseer Council failed to foresee their world's doom, then everything the children of Astarion have been taught about paths for centuries is a lie. You are hiding something, Eklendyl. Speak. Speak now. How dare you take that tone with me, outcast? I'm not obliged to justify myself before you, let alone protest my innocence. You wish to leave this place alive. You do well to start talking, Xenos. Your threats are laughable, Monkai. Did you think after all the paths I have had the good fortune to walk in my life, I'd be intimidated by the words of so worthless a creature? Perhaps I should put you back in the cage. Your worthless kinspeople have already inflicted the worst horrors imaginable upon me. You think I fear ordinary pain more than I do the pain of my soul? You've already told us almost everything. Why hold anything back? The Farseer looks at you in contemptuous disgust. I have nothing to discuss with you, Monkai. We freed you from the homunculus' torture chamber, Eklendyl, and this is the thanks we get. The Farseer's emerald green eyes are filled with despair. We've been steering Kruderok along a course prophesied by the stars themselves, till Shael's tumultuous currents cast us to the edge of the Great Wound. A storm was coming, threatening to sweep Kruderok away from its path, so the Council decided on a route to safety, across the nearest islet of hope, and into the place known among the among the Monkai as the Corona's expanse. We stood by our decision, but there came a point where the prophecies became even darker and more unsettling. Someone proposed altering the course, but the closing grip of raging Shael was blocking our path on all sides. It was then that the council's opinion was split. My vote was the deciding one in that difficult debate. For I believe that the prophecy that had promised us salvation in the Expanse could not have been a lie. You already know what happened next. A Farseer closes his eyes and turns away, unwilling to meet Iliad's gaze. Iliad looks lost. So we were doomed. I should have stayed on Crudorak. I could have tried to help those who survived the disaster. If only I had not chosen that accursed path and left the craft world, I could have at least tried to save someone. Was it not the Farseers who made a bad decision? What difference would it have made if you had been on Crudorak? Iliad's mouth twists in displeasure. The Farseers. It was not beyond their power. They had led Crudorak to prosperity for years, only to become too blind to what was going on around them. Had they not followed the prophecy as the old customs required, had they changed course instead, Crudorak might still be whole. There's no bringing back the past, but you can try to change your people's future. A torrent of feeling and emotion burst forth from Iliad's reddened eyes. Deep in my heart, I always knew I would not feel truly alive or free behind Crudorak's protective domes. That was why I kept putting off my return. Come with me, Eklendyl. We have a lot to do before the Great Oblivion. We'll find our brothers and sisters and protect them from those who seek to harm them. Perhaps we may even find a new home. Your words are like a healing melody flowing into my tormented soul. For the first time, a slight smile graces the Farseer's lips. I accept your proposal, my child. I've rarely given a thought to the price our dark kin pay to save their souls from the clutches of she who thirsts. But now I see the price their victims pay. The price my kin have paid. Alright, well I'm going to call it here, and next time we will go to the main hall and continue pushing through the Spire of the Reaving Tempest. But for now, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.